Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Notes and Quotes podcast. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you for joining the community and thank you for tuning into this episode. I really hope you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, that's okay. But if you want to, it would be really nice for you to fill out our listener survey, which takes less than a minute to fill out. It will be in the show notes just so I know how to build the best possible podcast for you and keep giving you episodes that you actually enjoy. And if you do like this episode, you can tell us all about it in the same listener survey. Just tell us what you liked and what you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please make sure to subscribe and to share this episode with anybody that you think would benefit from it. So let's jump right into the conversation today. So I've been feeling a lot of self doubt recently, a lot of self doubt, a lot of self reflection, a lot of jumbled thoughts and wondering about paths and whether I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and whether what I'm doing is worth doing and all these different series of recurring thoughts that have been happening rather intensely throughout my entire week. I mean, they happen all the time, every now and then, but it's been, I think, the main focus of my week. Just for, I guess, a multitude of reasons, every now and then it's good. It's probably not good, but every now and then I do have a bit of an existential crisis, and that's what this week has been. One of the things that I've had a lot of self doubt about is not to break the fourth wall, but this podcast. So, what I wanted to do today is kind of just share with you guys my internal thoughts, my self doubt, all of the things that I've been experiencing, share a little bit about the Notes and Quotes podcast journey. And also, by the way, this is not like a closing out of Notes and Quotes. Notes and Quotes is still definitely going on. Like, it's not, you're not going to see the last of me right now. It's just one of the phases that I have in terms of growing this podcast. And I just wanted to be really honest and candid about that. So that's what's going to happen today. Um, and I'm just going to kind of share my inner thoughts with you. There's not going to be like concrete tips or anything like you would have had in a lot of previous episodes. Today is more so just going to be kind of a confession and venting. And venting sounds harsh, but it's more so just honest admitting of what's going on in my head. And before I get into all of the stuff that I want to talk about, I definitely do want to share the quote for today, which is by Steve Maraboli. And it's real simple. You guys know, if you've been listening to these episodes for a while, that I love a simple quote. And Steve Maraboli's quote, is as simple as it gets. It's just, why not you? And that is a quote that I have really, I think, needed to internalize this week. And I need to internalize it every now and then because that self doubt creeps away at me, like whether I'm worth doing certain things and whether I'm capable of doing certain things. And I just have to remind myself, why not you? Like why why can't it work out for you? Anyway, let me get into it. So, Notes and Quotes was started on August 20th of 2024. So it's not even at the time of filming a year yet. It is, what's today's date? Today's date is May 17th, 2025. So I'm under a year in this podcast and I'm still having an existential crisis. And if you know anything about the podcasting industry, which I'm assuming most of you don't because a lot of people aren't in podcasting, but a lot of people are at the same time. So I don't know. I don't know what you know. But either way, I'm going to say that podcasting in general takes a really long time to grow. Just in general, sometimes people have a massive boost and it's great for them, but for most people it's a slow burn. And it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of consistency and just self-belief to get your podcast somewhere. And that's something I've been struggling with because I'm very much a I want results now kind of person. And what happened with the Notes and Quotes podcast journey thus far is I launched, it had a really, really good reception. The first few months saw some really good growth. I'm not saying like I got hundreds of downloads in the first few months. That's definitely not the case. But I saw people were actually listening, and every week more people were listening, and it was like listeners from all over the globe. So I found that really encouraging. These statistics were showing an ever increasing rise. And then January, February, March, and so on hit, and I saw a dip. I saw things start to fall. I saw my numbers drop I saw, engagement start to decrease. I saw me getting less and less followers as quickly as I was before on the social media platforms. And I started to think, wait, what's happening? I was seeing all of this growth and now what? What's going on? And I completely forgot about the mentality of growth is not linear. And I also completely forgot about the mentality of when you're looking at stuff like this, you're not really supposed to look at the statistics on a daily rate. You look at statistics over the course of a few months, and then you'll see the growth as opposed to looking at it up close on a day to day basis. So I shouldn't really be checking the stats every day because what I was doing was checking the stats every single day to see what was going on. And it was so incredibly unhealthy. And it led to this mentality of like, is this really worth it? Like why should I be doing this if it's not getting anywhere and if people are not enjoying it and if nobody's really listening, which wasn't even true because there were people listening, there are still people listening, but there weren't as many people listening as I wanted there to be. And mind you, I'd only been how is it? How many is that? August, September, October, November, January, December, January. I've only been like, at that time, I'd only been about 6 months in, and I was like, oh, but I'm not getting the kind of growth that I want. Oh my gosh. So I literally started reaching out to so many different people and asking them for tips about growth and everything. And some people reached out to me and they responded and they gave me really great tips. But I was panicking. And I'm very grateful to those people who helped me because I still use some of those tips today. I implemented a lot of them and, some things have helped. But oh, my hair is attached to my bracelet. Sorry. Yeah, I just started to panic manically about growth and impact and whether I should continue doing what I'm doing. And then I had to remind myself I did not get into this for the numbers and for the downloads. I got into this for the community. But then I was thinking, okay, but I'm not building a community. So, like, is it worth it? And I just went on this like back and forth thing of, oh, but is it worth it? And it's been this like ongoing thing in my mind, and there's something in the back of my mind that keeps saying yes, 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 it's worth it. One, because I get so much joy from podcasting and talking to you guys, and two, because every now and then I get a message from one of you wonderful people who tells me how much that they enjoy the podcast and how much it means to them and how much they resonate and see themselves in it, in the things that I talk about and what they learned and all these different things, just how I'm impacting or how the guests that I bring on are impacting them and their lives. And that is the reason that I started this, to just have an impact on people and help them to feel connected, seen, or informed. And when I get reassurance that I am doing that, which I get every now and then, it's really, really, really positive and reassuring and helps me realize, yeah, this actually is worth it. But at the same time, I do have a certain struggle of not being able to fully internalize success and growth and positive feedback. So I'll hear a positive message from somebody, but then it will make me happy for a few minutes and then I'll be like, okay, that's amazing and that's really great and it really made my day and made me happy, but I'm not internalizing it. And then after a while I'll go back to that same mentality of like I'm wasting my time, and it's just I know I sound like I'm waffling right now. It's just so hard to explain this self-doubt and this like constant back and forth that goes on inside of my brain. One of the things that happened recently is I started hiring for a volunteer internship assistant role, and I advertised this on LinkedIn. I was actually going to advertise it on multiple different platforms, but I just decided to advertise it on LinkedIn first and see how it went there. Oh my gosh, you guys, I had the most unexpected reaction. Genuinely, I'm still processing all of this. But within an hour, I had 10 applicants. And then within the end of the day, I had over 50 applicants. I don't, I do not, up till this day, I do not understand why. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's because people have this misconception that it's a paid role. And unfortunately, I can't do a paid role right now because this podcast is not yet monetized. I say yet, emphasis on yet, because I'm really would like to get monetized. But I thought that, okay, that's definitely why I'm getting so many applicants, because people probably think this is paid, even though it was, a little bit clear that it isn't paid. So I shortlisted some people out of the 50 and I sent them basically an introductory pack about the role with some more detail than was previously advertised and very heavily emphasized that this is a volunteer unpaid role, unfortunately, right now, because I cannot, I literally just can't pay anyone right now. But I do want some help and need some help because we're scaling and I want to implement really cool new things for you guys, the listeners, the community, and actually be able to find new tactics to build out this community and also find new tactics to get cool collaborations and monetization strategies and all that stuff. And I'm just one person who's doing everything and I think I needed some help. So I made that really clear. And I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to get ghosted now. I'm definitely going to get some applicants dropping out. And that's okay. I was fully prepared for that. You guys, I still got 12 people come back to me and say, oh, one of them said, like, some of them said, oh, I already knew that it was, a volunteer unpaid role. I still really, really, really want the position. Other people were like, oh, thanks for clarifying this. I really still do want the position. Other people did ghost me, and that's okay. I expected that. But to get even, I didn't even expect to get one, I got 12 interviews. So that's still shocking to me. And then when I was, doing the interviews, there were quite a few people who had told me about episodes that they had listened to and told me about how it impacted them and how much they love the concept and all this stuff, just kind of praising the podcast. And I, up till now, unfortunately, cannot internalize it. I mean, it makes me happy in the moment, and I'm so incredibly pleased to hear it. And it really does help with my confidence with everything. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from my own personal self doubt because I'm not growing as quickly and as big as I want to be. And all this, it sounds so stupid when I say all of these thoughts out loud, and I start to rationalize things, and I'm like realizing how ridiculous I'm being. But I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, that's so sweet, so reassuring, that's so pleasing to hear. But there was another voice in the back of my mind telling me they're only saying this because they want something out of you, which I mean, I don't know. Maybe a portion of that is true. I'm still fighting that mentality, but at the same time, a portion of it isn't true because they did apply for an unpaid role at my podcast, so they must enjoy it somewhat. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still fighting to internalize this positive feedback. But this is just one example of what I mean with that self-doubt and mindset that I've been dealing with this week. And then one of the other things that I've been dealing with beyond the is this really worth it and am I doing what I need to be doing, all that stuff. I've had a very heavy fare of scaling. So as I said before, I am trying to scale right now so I can build out this community to become the vision that I want it to be for you guys. But at the same time, that is coupled with this fare that I have, which is rooted in the higher you are, the higher you rise, the harder you can fall. And let me explain what I mean by all of that. So, when I started this podcast, yes, it got good reception and stuff, mainly from people in my own community. But see, that's once again me beating myself down. Like, I need to still celebrate the fact that people were excited to see that I was starting a podcast. I need to be positive. Anyway, yes. Okay. So when I launched the podcast, yes, it got good reception, but I knew that only a small number of people were listening. And so I didn't feel all this pressure. And I wasn't doing too much. I was just kind of releasing an episode every week and doing a couple social media posts. I didn't really have a system like how I do now. And so I wasn't getting overwhelmed by judgment or anything because I knew that it was only a small subset of people that are actually listening to me. Now, over time, I'm having more and more people listening to me because, yeah, I think I skipped over saying this, but we had that rise when we launched. We had a dip in January, February, and now we're coming back up again because obviously growth is not linear. And I need to remember that. But anyway, as I'm having more and more people listening and as I'm hearing more feedback from you guys, you wonderful people, it's starting to become real that people are actually out there, like real people are listening. And when I had the internship interviews, and I'm now like, okay, wait, I'm going to be responsible for a team member. And I also now am, doing other really cool things on the side with other partners and that kind of thing that I've brought on. It's like, okay, I'm now scaling up and I'm rising higher with this and I'm responsible for more. And not only that, the main thing I think is I'm no longer being held accountable by just myself. I'm now other people. I have to not report to, it's not reporting to them. It's just like what I do impacts other people now. And my reputation is kind of staked a little bit on what I'm creating. And I now have to be more accountable for how I work, when I work, what I do, because other people are involved now. Oh, and then also more people are listening. So it's just kind of like, ooh, it's now that fear of perception. It's that fear of being seen. It's that fear of being judged. And then that fear of, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what if it fails? What happens then, because this is now becoming so ingrainedly tied to my identity and reputation, especially online, because I post so much about the podcast. It's a big part of my reputation. If it falls, what does that say about me? And what does that say to other people who are now starting to know me for the podcast? And then it's just like that same mentality that I said at the beginning, the higher you are, the harder you fall. And so I've been fighting with that as well. Um and I keep having to remind myself because those feelings, that fear of failing comes in first before I then start to celebrate the successes that I'm having. So I was already starting to feel that fear when I started to hire an intern. Before I was like, "Oh my gosh, you should be really really happy. You now have a teammate." This is one of the things that I had on my mental vision board when I started this podcast of building a team of young adults to help build out this community. That's one of the things I wanted, and now I kind of have that. Why am I not celebrating this more? Why am I stressed? Why am I stressed? Why am I focusing on all of the, frankly, hypothetical negatives that don't actually exist? Why not focus on the positive thing that actually does exist, which is the fact that I have a team member now who is actually a wonderful, amazing person? So, why am I not doing that? So it's more so, I guess, not really a fear of scaling, but rather a fear of failure. Oh, and I hate to say that I'm afraid of failure because it makes me feel really weak. Like, why are you afraid of failure? You're never going to be able to know whether you're actually going to fail unless you actually just try and go ahead and do it anyway. So why not just stop being afraid of failing and just do it. Just try. Just like do what you got to do because you never know whether you'll be successful or whether you'll be shit unless you actually just go ahead and do the thing. And I need to remember this. I need to, it's not even just remembering it. I think it's just internalizing it. I have a really big problem internalizing things. Anytime I have a major success, it's hard as hell to actually internalize the fact that this is something that's really, really good. And I think that's what's holding me back. But then again, I don't think it really holds me back too much. And now I'm overthinking. I don't think it holds me back too much because sometimes I just have to like ignore it and remember why I'm doing what I'm doing and that I can only experience success if I keep doing what I'm doing. And then I just crack on and I keep moving forward with that self doubt mentality in the back of my mind. So, if anything, I'm just pushing it down and ignoring it instead of dealing with it. But the problem is, I just don't know how to deal with it. So, that's where I'm at. That's my issue. So that's a really great segue into what I do to actually kind of combat it because I do have some tactics that I sort of use. Well, I do use them, but I use them to combat these feelings of self-doubt when they become really prominent like they have in this week and they're not just at the back of my mind anymore. This helps not stuff it down. That sounds really 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 bad. That's not what it is. It just kind of helps to shrink them is a better way of describing that. It just helps to shrink that feeling of self-doubt. It doesn't erase them because I'm still struggling with them as you can hear, but it helps to shrink them down and help the positive feelings rise up a little bit more. One of them I kind of said already, feedback from people. When I get feedback, and this is not me fishing, by the way. I'm just trying to be honest. But when I get feedback from you guys about how this podcast impacts you, it really does help me positively because then I know one what you are liking and what I can do more of, and then it also just helps me feel like this is actually making an impact and this is making a difference and my purpose for doing this is being fulfilled even if I don't internalize it the way that I should. And then my vision as well. My vision is the biggest thing I think that helps in keeping me moving forward. If I was just to rely solely on the fact that I like talking and I like making videos, I don't think that that would carry me on with this podcast because that will lead me to burnout and I'll get tired of doing that every week. What helps me to continue wanting to do this every week is the fact that I actually want to build, I genuinely, genuinely want to build a community of people who support each other, grow from each other, learn from each other, struggle with each other, and share with each other. And that's what I aim for this to be. And that's why I do that with you guys every Tuesday in whatever capacity it is under the four pillars that we have: mental health, personal growth, climate, and social justice. That's what the goal is, especially for young adults who are facing very turbulent times in their life. And those four pillars are things that I personally think are the four biggest things that shape this generation's existence. And so, keeping that vision, holding that vision, sharing that vision with others, I guess, like I'm doing now, does really help in making me realize that there's a bigger picture in this and it's bigger than numbers, it's bigger than downloads, it's bigger than getting money from the. It's not about that primarily. That's like a secondary positive, obviously, because I want people to listen. I want this to become my job sometime, but the main goal is much bigger than all of that. And if the secondary goal, like I said just now, of monetization and numbers and stuff was my main goal, I don't think I would have any motivation for doing this, especially because podcasting is such a long and hard road to success. I think I would have burnt out a lot sooner than I would want. And then I guess mindset is another one. So whenever I try and have, and this is not just for this situation, but anytime I have negative thoughts about myself or my life or whatever, because my self doubt is not just attributed to this and the podcast and everything, but my self doubt is also attributed to everything in my life. Sometimes my parents, sometimes my relationships, sometimes my work ethic and like how I'm being perceived and doing at work, my future, all these all aspects of my life I have self doubt in. But at the same time, weirdly, I'm quite a confident person. I'm a lot more confident than I was. I think I'm probably the most confident that I have ever been in my life, but I'm still insecure and I'm still unsure, and that uncertainty gives me self-doubt and gives me anxiety and gives me like worry about everything, which then gives me more self-doubt. So it's a weird limbo that I'm in, but I still have faith in myself and confidence in myself. And that's that mindset I'm kind of trying to talk about, where I just remind myself that, you know what, I can actually do this. Even if I don't believe it immediately, I tell myself anyway, you can do this. And this is something worth doing, and that you actually do have this under control and you'll be fine. And if you fail and you learn something from it and it'll be fine. Sometimes I tell myself that and I don't fully believe it in the moment, but if I keep on telling myself, then it starts to sink in a little bit more. And then that's literally what keeps me going. I think probably beyond anything else. Even beyond the vision thing, I think that mindset thing is really what keeps me going. And what helps with that mindset too is sometimes online communities that I join of other independent podcasters who are going through a lot of the same struggles as me, people who have gotten to success but have gone through these hardships that I'm experiencing right now, and reminds me that it's all very normal and that it's all okay to be experiencing this, and teaches me tips of how to handle problems that I'm having and whatever. That can be very reassuring and helpful with the mindset too. I would say those are the main things that help me with shrinking the self doubt and pessimism. And also, I think it's really, really, really important for me to just say a massive, incredibly large thank you to you guys for listening, for communicating with me, for building out what my vision is. Because, yeah, I'm the only person behind this podcast right now. And yeah, I'm the only person running things. But oh my gosh, you guys build this entire thing out. It would be nothing without you. And I'm actually so grateful to the people who listen and the people who give me feedback and the people who share episodes and people who listen in silence, people who listen to the first 5 minutes and leave. I'm grateful for everyone, honestly, because it's just so cool to know that people are out there listening to my words and actually feeling things and having some sort of an impact on your beautiful lives. And I know it sounds so incredibly gross what I'm talking about and being like, "Oh my gosh, you're such beautiful people," and whatever. I know it sounds gross. I don't know of a way to say it where it doesn't sound gross, but I just genuinely mean it. I don't know how to say it in a non-gross sounding way, but I think everyone's individual life is so incredibly precious, and for me to have some even minuscule form of impact on that is just I treasure that a lot. So I'm very grateful to you for listening. And if you guys are struggling with any self-doubt or pessimism or negativity or just bad negative thoughts about yourself, please know that you are not alone. I as you know, as I've said, deal with this all the time, every single day. I know so many people that deal with it as well. And I hope that these tips, I didn't really share any tips at all. I shared like three things that I do that helps me a little bit. But I hope that my confession and my words help you in some way. And if it doesn't, that's absolutely okay. Please turn to people who will help you and actually just reach out to professionals if you really, really do need help. Sometimes that is actually just what's needed, and there's no shame in that. There's actually so much strength and power in that. So if that's what you need to do, definitely go do that. Now, I may not have it all figured out yet. As you can see, I am an overthinking, rambling, self doubt, negative mess, but I still love myself and I'm still proud of myself and I'm still proud of what I've accomplished thus far. And I'm still really excited to keep doing what I'm doing and see where life in general and this podcast takes me. So I would just say, to keep going with whatever you're doing. If it fulfills you and it gives you happiness and it gives you peace and it gives you a sense of purpose, by all means do that. And for some reason, even with all of the self-doubt that I just expressed, doing this still gives me that. And that's why I keep going as well. I guess that was one of the things I should have said too. That's why I keep going too. So if you have something like that in your life, then by all means it is absolutely worth it, because why not you? Why can't you succeed? Why not you? You are qualified to do the things that you're doing. You are qualified to be in those rooms. You are qualified to create your own creative platforms or whatever it is you're doing. Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be something that I'm doing like this podcast. It could be something completely different. If it gives you happiness, by all means continue doing it. Just as long as it's not hurting anyone else and just as long as it's not illegal. Okay. That's all I have for you guys today. I know it was a bit of a ramble, and I know it wasn't like our typical episode. You know what? Actually, there's no real typical episodes here. Sometimes I do ramble a lot, so this is what you're in for. If this is your first episode, I hope this was okay. Um, yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you again next Tuesday. I love you so much. And thank you so much for listening once again. If you want some more information, or rather, if you just want to keep up to date with the podcast, you can go check out our socials. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Video exclusively on YouTube. That's where you'd be seeing me. And that's where you'd be witnessing me recording in my room at 11:16 at night when I should be asleep. I'm going to go now and give you a really great rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, week, day, whatever it is. I don't know. I'll see you again next Tuesday. Okay. Bye.